Hello. This is Alisia Young, and welcome to Teach Me Freedom. This podcast is about learning how to live a freer life from authors, entrepreneurs, and experts. Those who have done it and who teach others how to do it as well, and what it feels like while applying those methods to our lives along the way. Every episode will deliver resources, anecdotes, and or reviews to support you in living a more freedom-filled life. Let's jump in. Hello, Freedom Finders, and welcome to Season 2. I am so excited that you're here, and the topic of this season is going to be grow up and raise your career IQ. And rather than going through all the details of what this season is going to entail, I wanted to just keep this short and sweet, and at the beginning of every episode itself, give you more context for the point of the episode and what has inspired the episode. However, some things that you can expect, just like you did in season 1, is that there will be interviews with some authors. I also have more book reviews lined up, and then I may have some bonus episodes which are more personal in nature, which would go into more detail about why I decided to go into a different career and the process that I took to decide upon that. So we'll see how the season unfolds. And if that is something of interest to you, please let me know at teachmefreedom2020@gmail.com. And I'll be more likely to record those episodes if I know that at least one person out there is looking forward to it and feels they may benefit from it. In terms of the topics we're going to be exploring, we're going to be looking at adulthood. Because when I think of adulthood, I think of maturity. And so we're going to look at, well, how do we grow into adulthood? How do we become more mature? Another thing that comes to mind, which is why it's connected with the topic of adulthood, is that of career. And one thing I will share is a huge reason for doing this season is because I've been grappling back and forth with just wondering where to put energy. Is it pursuing corporate? Is it pursuing individual ventures? And right now, as you'll learn more, I'm really doing a combination of the two because that's what feels right for me. It doesn't feel right to go one way or the other. But we'll see how that continues to change. And I'd love to hear from you to see, do you feel strongly about one way or the other? I know that a lot of people who I've spoken with and just going through my own experience, it can have you feeling that you may want to lean on one side more than the other. But for multiple reasons, I'm choosing to pursue both. So we'll see what happens as we continue through the season. And please always feel free to reach out to us at teachmefreedom2020@gmail.com if you want to share any input about what you're going through, and if you have any particular topics you'd like for us to discuss in the series and on the podcast. So in addition to adulthood and maturing into adult and developing career IQ, pursuing corporate, and how do we go about that in a wise manner? Some other topics which tie into that is office politics. Sometimes there can be these unspoken expectations or things happening that are not clear to those who are not sensitive. And if you're not attuned to certain things, how will you know to be aware of them and look out for them? So one of the goals of this season is to look into that more. And depending on how things go, we may go even deeper into that in a future season. And then lastly, we'll also be looking at leadership along with the different forms of limitations for people in the workforce, such as the pay wage gap, and we've heard about the glass ceiling, different stereotypes that are out there about females versus males, men versus women, different ethnicities, different ages, different industries. So these are things that we're going to be looking into some more. And then lastly, going to also be looking into leadership as well. And that's another topic that we can explore in more depth in a future season, but at least want to touch upon it in this season. So I really hope that you were looking forward to the season, and I am super excited. So thank you again for tuning in. You know how to reach out to me. You know how to reach out to us. You know how to reach out to the guests. So otherwise, tune in. I hope you gather at least one very useful gem from every episode that you tune into. Enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Teach Me Freedom podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and found it beneficial. Feel free to reach out to us at teachmefreedom2020@gmail.com. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the show on your favorite platform for streaming content. Feel free to comment and leave a 4 or 5 star review if you feel so inclined. Connect with you next time.